happy to be here and looking forward to the interview.
Yeah. So thank you for taking your time to do this. You've always been one of like the most entertaining players to watch. Now you're headed to Colorado, so you have a new, different start to your career. So I was just wondering, how's your time in Milwaukee been? I mean, that's where you've been all your career, and now you're going all the way to the West Coast. You're still in the NL, but now you're a whole different region of the US. So what's your time in Milwaukee been like, and then the change that's going to occur now?
Yeah, my time in Milwaukee was awesome. I got drafted by them in 2012, came up to the minors with them. I was a late pick, but they gave me a chance every step of the way, and I'll always be grateful to them for that. And then parts of 7 seasons in the big leagues were really magical. I mean, when I got there, we were kind of rebuilding. In 2016, we were still in a rebuild phase, and then we were one game from the playoffs the next year, made the playoffs 4 straight years, and missed the playoffs by 1 year this past year. So it was just like crazy, intense, fun baseball basically my whole time up there, and made friends for life on and off the field, and the fans were incredible. So man, we have a special place in our hearts for Milwaukee, no doubt. But yeah, with the new adventure comes kind of some different excitement. I mean, where our family's really pumped. Denver's always been one of our favorite places to visit as a family. As visitors, the family would come out to Coors and out to Denver, and it was always so fun. And we have some friends out there, so we're looking forward to reconnecting with them all the time. And so yeah, we are very, very excited. It's challenging for sure. Pitching there is challenging, but being in Colorado Springs for parts of 3 seasons in AAA, kind of got acclimated to it and saw how my stuff plays at high altitude and what I need to do. So feel like I have some experience with it, but certainly going to be tested sometimes with the elements up there. But we're so excited.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, home field advantage is a true thing because teams that visit aren't used to elevation. But like you said, AAA, you got that experience in the area kind of like that for 3 years. And being with the Brewers, you've played there a couple of times. Don't know how many times you've pitched within those games, but like, yeah, you get experience. Because that was going to be another question, what you were kind of thinking about that altitude. Because even if you're on a pitcher for that team for years, I mean, it still affects you because that's just like how the environment works. Even if you're used to it, it still affects you. So anything different you're gonna do, or you just roll with your same thing? Because I mean, if you get all those like fly ball outs, it could travel more in Colorado. I just didn't know if you had a different attack plan now since you're go from a dome to an open dome to now Colorado.
Right. Yeah, I think in terms of attack, like where points that I'm trying to attack against righties and lefties are going to be pretty much the same. With the breaking ball out there, you just got to make sure you nail it. I mean, there's no margin for error. If you get on time, it'll break for you. Maybe not sharp, but it'll still go there. But if you miss it by even just a little bit, it's just going to spin and get crushed. So breaking ball is a big focus out there. My changeup and cutter actually played pretty well out there. They lose like every pitch. They lose some of the movement, but not enough to miss barrels or not enough to hit the barrels. So I still can miss some barrels up there. Two seam haven't thrown it a whole lot up there, so I still need to figure out what that does and what adjustments need to be made. But in terms of attack, I'm still trying to get guys out quick. Ground ball, fly ball, I don't really care. I just want weak contact or swing and miss. And yeah, there are some times where like you think if a ball's going foul and it just does not go foul, or you think it's going to stop and it just keeps going. So those are the ones where they kind of, it feels like a gut punch, where the game was like it didn't seem right, but you just got to roll with it. It takes a lot of mental toughness to succeed up there. So I'm hoping to do that.
Yeah, you definitely have to adjust. I mean, just last year with the Brewers, you saw Yelich hit basically 499. It was almost 500-foot home run. I mean, it's crazy. Like you could just see how the ball takes off, and then CJ Crone hit one five something. I mean, it's just whole different environment. So definitely be interesting to get used to. But maybe I know that they have DH now, but if you ever take BP, maybe you can hit one. You've hit a dead center home run at American Family Field. You hit that off Kluber. So, maybe if they let you take BP there, you could try that again.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be taking many beeps up there, but if the bullpen goes like 2 weeks scoreless there as a reward or something like that. You don't want to pull any show bleaks up there.
Yeah, no, that should be fun. And yeah, speaking of bullpen, like while you're with the Brewers, you just seem like if I were a manager, I'd want someone like you on the team. It just seems like the guy that makes the team chemistry happen. So like in the bullpen, especially during COVID season when there's like no fans or anything, you have to keep it entertaining. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's banging Gatorade bottles on something to make noise. Like, what do you like come up with? I mean, are you just at the game, you come up with a different thing, or do you kind of have a plan on things you're gonna do with certain guys?
It's a good question. A lot of it just comes kind of like naturally when if teammates and I get together and we're just like bouncing off ideas. Like the COVID season, we noticed that our energy was just flat because how could it not be? There's nobody in the stands. It was just like white noise going on. So we kind of got together as a bullpen. We're like, hey, we're gonna start bringing the juice from afar, from the bullpen, and just kind of try to get the engine going a little bit. And so we said, let's just start a little bullpen band. And we got like 4 or 5 guys banging drums, and we just do all kinds of cheers and stuff. And some of it sounded like soccer game cheers, but we didn't care. We were just doing it. And it actually, the position players told us like that day, they're like, keep doing that. That was like, felt kind of more game like than anything we'd done all year. So we kept doing it, and it was a lot of fun. And then, a lot of the other stuff is just like when I would do, like when I say low, you say Kane. Low, that was for the moment. I just grabbed one of the massage sticks, and there was pretty good drum acoustics on the dugout and wall. So just did that. And Low Kane was so funny about it all the time, and did some other band stuff like that. Handshakes with everybody, just trying to bring the juice every day. That's a big part of what I do, is like bringing energy. I'm a high energy guy, and I love playing ball. I love competing. So trying to like infect people, for lack of a better word, kind of infect people with some energy is kind of what was one of my roles on the team. And I bought into it big time, and I love bringing the juice every day.
Yeah, I mean, that seems fun. You planning on bringing that to Colorado? Teach those guys some new little tricks?
I don't know about the drum and stuff. We'll see how the acoustics on the drum. I want to be an endeavor. We talk about like the faucet or the drain. Like you can only have so many drains on the team. You want faucets like crazy. So and perfect example of that's Willie Adames. He was like one of the perfect faucets guys. Just brings it every day. Leader, just brings energy. Loves competing. So yeah, he was one of the best faucets I've ever been around.
Yeah. For the bullpen guys, was there any guys specifically that you could always go to when you wanted to start something, or was it kind of just people popped in as like they kind of followed you along?
So that COVID year, Robinson Diaz, who was our bullpen catcher, was always down to do it. And then Alex Claudio, Devin Williams were great. And there was one more member of the band who was always doing stuff. It was so funny. I forget who else, but they were great. This past year, a lot of the younger guys can like buy in or at least like clap in. And then Adam Weisenberger, another one of our bullpen catchers, every time I would do a beat, he'd go, whoop, 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 whoop. Like, kind of getting like an stuff going. So that was really funny. Every time I started a beat, he'd always hop in with that. So that made me feel good. Made me feel supported. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, it's like you're the leader of the entire bullpen, and it's just like your little orchestra you got there.
I'd say the leader of the bullpen beat making, but certainly we had other leaders like Boxberger, Hader, guys who were pitching big innings all the time. Were kind of more the leaders on the field, but certainly in the noise department, I was maybe the leader in the bullpen.
Yeah, for sure. And going back, we're gonna jump back to like start of your career. I mean, you went to Harvard. How did you balance like being a student at Harvard and then playing baseball and being so committed to baseball that you wanted to take it to the next level? Because I know people at schools, they go for an education, then they do baseball, but it seems obviously you wanted baseball to be a big part of your future. So how did you balance those out?
Yeah, well, school was really important to me too. It was one of those situations where it was like time management was huge. Harvard was definitely, there were some hard classes. Course load management in the spring was huge, with the games being pretty much 2 weekday games, and then like weekend games, 3 or 4 weekend games every weekend. So you definitely had to manage your course load and your evening labs accordingly. But a lot of it was using tutors and using study groups and using night before test, they'd have these like problem solving or like study guide sessions, and I'd go into those if I could make it. And then like the in between classes, when my brain was still kind of going from class, but maybe had a half hour, an hour to kill before the next class, I'd just go in the library or go to the cafe and just start crushing homework. so that then I could get that much more done before going to baseball. And then like that evening after baseball and school, not as productive maybe in the brain department. So definitely had to use the time I was given in between classes during the morning and day before any fatigue set in. So that was huge. Time management was huge.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was talking to Kane about his whole come up from like high school to college. What was your transition from Harvard to the MLB? I mean, I'm not sure if you got drafted out of high school and then chose to play for them like he did, or what was your whole process basically?
Yeah, I was kind of a fringe guy. Prospect wise, junior year, actually, I was told like, hey, you have a good year, you're going to go in the top 5-10 rounds, because I'd had a really good summer ball year the year before and a pretty good spring season, and I just laid an egg that junior year. Nothing went right. I wasn't pitching well, but I also, our team was struggling. It was just a really long bad year for everybody, and so I kind of had to reset. I was luckily offered a spot before the year started in the Cape Cod League, so that really helped me get back on my feet. I worked with a really good coach there, who helped me a lot mentally and mechanically. And then I had a decent year senior year, but good enough, and pitched in some random showcases that really got me kind of more invested in, or some teams more invested in me, including the Brewers, and got picked 965 in the 31st round, but it was a chance. You know what I mean? It was not a big signing bonus by any means, but enough. Signing bonus at any point was worth the shot at that point. So I was like, yep, absolutely, I'm going to give baseball a shot, give it my all, and see what happens. And like I said, the Brewers just every step of the way gave me a chance. I got a couple breaks that first year with guys, either getting released or having injuries. I got to move up to low A by the end of the year. We won the championship, and then got invited to instruct last minute that fall, and then just kind of snowballed. I just kept staying healthy, kept putting up decent numbers, and soon enough, I was kind of knocking on the door in 2016 and got the call that I'll never forget to get the big leagues, man. It was
Yeah, I bet that was amazing. So you've had pretty long career, and now coming in 2023, there might be rule changes. I mean, they've always been proposing them. I wanted your thoughts on things such as pitch clock, on maybe like increasing the base size, so then when like it's a shorter distance now when you have to steal, and then also robo umps, because I want a pitcher's point of view on what they think of those new rules they're trying to imply.
Yeah, I the pitch clock has always been one where I'm like more in favor of it than the normal player. I believe it's one of those that there is some dead time in games that we can do away with and save probably 20-30 minutes per game, which you might attract some younger fans. Who knows what it could do, but it can't be at the expense of the competition quality. So it has to be, we got to make sure we're not just rushing to beat the clock and throw the wrong pitch, or the hitter's not having time, and so offense plummets or something. We got to make sure we got the right time going, and there'll be just some discretion there and maybe some ability to adjust, which is key. But I'm more in favor of that than probably the normal pitcher or position player. But in terms of the bases, I've heard some guys were against it. It's a little bigger pitchers. There wasn't as much resistance to it as I thought there would be, because it makes stolen bases a little bit easier. But it also makes the attempts go up, and maybe you get more outs on the base pass. That could help. I don't know, but speed is going to become a huge part of the game. That much more important part of the game than it has been. So in that respect, I like it. I want to see baseball be speed oriented, be hit and runs, all that stuff. I want that stuff to come back and play and be a part of it, because people love watching action, stolen bases, speed, athletes being athletes, kind of thing. So in that way, I think it's good. The robo ump, as far as we'll go, I think is it'll be like a challenge system. So you'll get like 3 challenges, and this is proposed, I think, for 2024 season. So I don't think it'll be like tested a little bit in spring training, but I don't think it'll be anything this year implemented. But it'll be like more of a challenge system. Like if you think a pitch was a strike, and it was a big situation, you can say, hey, challenge, kind of like in tennis, and they'll review it and see if it was in the strike zone. So that I could get on board with. It depends on how it is in practice, but I think that would be cool. But just not having an ump back there calling pitches and strikes, balls and strikes, I wouldn't be down for that. I don't think that would be good. But the challenge system, I could be open to.
Yeah, I mean, they want to change the game, but if they change it that much to where there's no umpire, I'd find that just really strange. So yeah, challenge system they've been trying out, I've seen, and lower levels. I mean, in the minors, they try all these things out to see how they work. I'm not sure if you know, do you know if the challenge, the batter and pitcher can challenge, or do you know if it's just kind of one of them?
I think you get three. I'm not sure if it's three offensive and three defensive challenges per game, or if it's just three total. But yeah, certainly if there's three total and the pitcher swings and misses on two, or whiffs on two of them, everyone's gonna be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" So there's a responsibility there. But if you're really convicted and think it was a striker ball, like I guess it's good to take your shot. But yeah, they were still deciding if it was going to be three per offense and defense or just three for the team.
Yeah, that's gonna have strategy in the game now because I remember watching like Brewers Phillies last year with Schwarber and just all of that. Like all game, I was like you have to decide when to use your challenges. Obviously, at the very end, that's when you'd use one. But like you said, if you get a certain amount for the game and they're gone, then that'll be a whole new thing. They'll probably say like, "Oh, we don't have enough." So it'll be interesting to kind of find like how to level it out, you know? And one more question, do you know, is it the pitcher and batter that challenges it, or is it the manager? Like, I don't know if you would like point to your manager and then they challenge it, or
It has to be the pitcher, catcher, or batter. I think is that yeah, it can't be coming from the dugout because the dugout could get somehow a quick video. It can't be the dugout involved. It has to be the players involved. And I'm buddies with Schwarber. He's from our area. He's from Cincinnati area, and I told him after that game, I was like, dude, that is the best ejection I've ever seen in my life. Like both sides, hair, so it was so funny. So I just got to give a shout out to Schwarber for that one for sure.
yeah, that was an entertaining ejection, like you said, and he was arguing both sides. He literally said, he's like, this side, all game terrible. And I remember they interviewed McCutcheon after the game kind of about that, and he didn't even know what to say. He's like, I don't even know. Like it was just a lot, but that was definitely an entertaining ejection to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite year if you had to pick one on the Brewers? Did you have a specific favorite season, whether that's just the team in general or just you think you had the best season? Like what would be your favorite year since you've been with the team?
So it sounds weird to say, but 2019, I was rehabbing most of the year, so it doesn't really count as a full season. But
Mm-hmm.
I have my family out in Arizona. We were able to work really hard at rehab, but then we'd have like some time off too, like some weekends off that we'd be able to do stuff out in Arizona. It was like it almost didn't feel fair. It was like, this is crazy awesome. I'm getting best of both worlds. I'm getting really better at baseball, but also it's the season I'm able to go kind of explore the wilderness or explore some areas that I otherwise wouldn't have with my family. And then minor league rehab, getting to know the guys, and rookie ball, double A, triple A was really, really fun. And then coming back and I threw everything was going right. I mean, it was just like I gave up one run the whole year, including minor league rehab and big league appearances, and it was just like things just were going great. And we made the playoffs. We actually clinched the playoffs here in Cincinnati, and so I was living at home. Every time we go to Cincinnati, I sleep in my own bed, so got to clinch and celebrate with the family and everything. And we made it to the playoffs, and we lost a crazy game in the wild card, but I got to pitch in the wild card game that year, and it was that was just like kind of one of those dream seasons that it was still probably one of our favorite, if not our favorite year as a family. So that was up there. 21 was great until I messed up my oblique the very last game of the year, which was a bummer. But clinching the division at home was also really, really awesome, really special.
Yeah. What was the most heartbreaking loss you went through? Because I mean, Brewers, they have turned their franchise around. I mean, always being a contender, but then falling short. Was there a specific game that was definitely the most heartbreak? Just it was like a meltdown, or you just really thought you had it that year? Is there like a specific one you could choose?
The Game 7 NLCS where in 2018, I was hurt at the time, so but we were really confident we were going to win that game. It was at home. We had done really well the night before, and we just weren't able to get it done in Game 7. Chris Taylor made an unbelievable catch at the wall, like just changed the game. So that was a real big bummer. That wild card loss where we thought we had the Nationals, and then they end up coming back and beating us and winning the World Series. That was quite a heartbreak too. And I had kind of a personal heartbreak in 2020. I pitched really, really bad in game one starter because Corbin had gone down with an oblique the week before, and they turned to me. I was kind of like starting every now and then, but relieving and starting kind of thing. And I just could not throw a strike that first inning. Tried everything, tried every reset possible, but was able to keep us in the game, but we still lost and then lost the next night. So that was personally probably the most heartbreaking one for me. But yeah, like game either 18 or 19, tough ones. It's so hard to get to the top, so you know you're going to have some heartbreak in seasons. But we just had almost 4 years in a row, where maybe 5 years in a row, where the people we lost to ended up almost either winning it or going, getting the World Series. It was like, gosh, beat the Brewers and you're all set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Crazy.
saw some stat on that where it was, I don't know the exact number, but it's basically like if you beat the Brewers in the playoffs, you win. It's either won the World Series or made the World Series. It was just a strange pattern, which I also noticed. I mean, granted, the CS obviously you go, but then I mean Nationals like wild card all the way to winning it, and just yeah, COVID season Dodgers, just everything. In the 2020 season, I mean, obviously you had a last minute start, so I think everyone just kind of felt for you because everyone's like, it was Corbin, and then it seemed last minute that, oh, it's now you. How how much time before the game did you get that call or someone say something to you that you're starting and then you just have to lock in?
Yeah. So they didn't tell me until the day before. I think it was the night before we had a practice, and counseling me decided to say, "Hey, we decided you're starting tomorrow." I was like, "Sweet." You know, what I mean, I kind of it was either me or a couple other guys, but I'd been told to be ready. You know what I mean? So we were all ready to go game one, and I don't think I was meant to throw 5 or 6 innings. I think it was going to be like a 3 or 4 inning start, and I ended up going like an inning and 2/3. But it was definitely one of those, like, I wasn't that nervous going through everything. Like, I was excited, but I like wasn't crazy nervous. I was like, joking around with the guys beforehand. Then I locked in, and then went out there, and it was just like bizarre. You know, what I mean, I like couldn't feel the ball, couldn't make adjustments. It was like, this is not where I wanted to be right now. I remember looking around like, what? I feel like any gift I had of being able to control the baseball was like gone. I was just like praying, that it would go into the glove even. So that was really weird, but I got better from it. You know, I mean, that off season, I decided to stop working out at home and go train at a facility that I'm still training now, but really got after it, improved my velo tremendously that off season, got a lot better with the breakball and changeup, and ended up having a much better year in 21 and solid year this past year. But that 21 season was a big part of that, like, motivation after the playoff heartbreak.
Yeah, I mean, turning around, that's a great way to describe it because happens to a lot of people. I mean, you saw Aaron Ashby had that start, which was just that was also, I guess you describe it as just like, what is going on, you know? But then, I mean, since then, he just became locked down and just he adjusted from that game. But I mean, like witnessing that game, what were you processing? Because that was 7-0 and then 15 straight runs against your rival at home. I mean, did you feel anything from the crowd? Like, oh my gosh, they're all just gonna leave, and then it's just like a roar because the offense just exploded, or like what was kind of the feeling during that?
The weird feeling of like, okay, they got 7 runs, which seems like a lot, but like, we're gonna win the game. There was this feeling like we're gonna win the game. We were hot as heck at the time, and it was like you felt for Ashby. It wasn't all his fault. Some things went wrong and all that stuff, but it was like, gosh, we're gonna pick him up here. You know what I mean? And sure enough, we scored 15 unanswered runs. I just remember when Willie hit that grand slam to kind of put the game, to bed a little, more or less, and we just went crazy in the bullpen. The whole crowd was going crazy. It was insane. It was one of the craziest games. And the Cubs they still had their core guys at the time. Like, it was still somewhat in reach. The division race was going in our favor, but that after that, it was just like game over. The Cubs ended up selling everybody off, and the Reds and the Cardinals became the division competition.
Yeah, I mean, that was a wild game. I remember I was probably in some like class getting prepared for college, and then I just looked at my phone and I was like, what? I remember because it wasn't when it was 7-0, it was when it was 15-7, because that class was probably 3 hours long, so it was basically the whole game. I just like look at that box score and I was just trying to process like what happened. It just seemed pretty wild. And you talked about how a lot of Cubs left the team. You have one now, Chris Bryant, who you're going to play with. Are there any players on the Rockies you're most excited to play with, like that you've been watching for a long time, or are you just excited for the new experience overall?
Excited for the experience overall for sure. Really excited about getting to know Chris Bryant and Blackman. Having competed against them for a while. I met Chris at an All Star game back in 2014 in Double A, but haven't really talked to him since then. Just been pitching against him. It seems like every month I'm always facing Chris Bryant. It feels like so. It'd be good to be on this side of or his side of it for once, and then Daniel Bard in the bullpen, who's kind of the leader of the Rockies bullpen. I'm really big fan of his. I've been a big fan of his for a while, and just his journey's been incredible. So, and everyone says he's just an awesome leader. So I'm looking forward to getting with him and learning from him and all that. Everybody really on the Rockies is seems like awesome, and really excited to get going.
Yeah, it seems fun. I mean, you have those vets, Brian and Blackman, and then you're going to have a lot of prospects and younger guys coming up. So it might be like a whole mix of a team, and it's cool that you get to be a part of what should be a come up. I mean, they've been making a lot of big moves, acquiring a lot of people, and it just seems like you're another piece to that. So obviously, it's going to be a very competitive division. How do you feel they're going to be playing like the Dodgers and the Padres a lot during the year? Because you saw them with the Brewers since it's NL matchups, but now you're going to see them however many times it is a year. I mean, maybe 20 times a year you see these guys now.
Well, it's a balanced schedule next year, so it'll be 14 as opposed to the 19-20 that it normally was. So in that way, it's a little bit more balanced to it. We'll still see them, twice as much as we used to when I was with the Brewers. But yeah, they're good teams, man. They're all big time trying to win. Dodgers, Giants, and Diamondbacks too are making some moves, and Padres. So yeah, it is. Those winter meetings for the NL West were nuts. It's just crazy. So we got our hands full in the division. And the Rockies have never won a division title. They've been in the World Series, but they've never won a division title. So to be, the chance to do something that no other Rockies team has done would be insane. It'd be incredible. So just looking forward to get going. I've been able to talk with the pitching coach and Bud Black several times, and all the people throughout the organization. They're just awesome. So we definitely have the right group of people. Now it's just a matter of translating those good vibes onto the field. But yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And you mentioned balanced schedule, which I kind of forgot about. What are your thoughts on that? Because I honestly kind of like it, because I guess it brings more. It's kind of now everything's even, and you get to see literally every other team in the league, depending if you host them or not. I think that was a pretty good proposal that went through. I'm wondering what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it was good. There was some player resistance to it just because we had some teams like Seattle, Toronto, like the teams that are far, Miami, that looking at their travel schedules going, oh, this adds another West Coast trip or East Coast trip or whatever. And totally understand that. And it's more flying miles, which the environmentalist in me doesn't love. But in terms of the baseball side, I think it'll be great for the game. I feel like you'll be able to bring star players to the city every other year as opposed to once every 6 years. So like Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout or Aaron Judge will be coming to Denver or Milwaukee every other year. And then it'll kind of grow the game nationally. So right now baseball is really regional. Like people love their own team, but once their team's out of it, they don't necessarily follow. But if these players come in and you really fall in love with the player or a group of players and you want to watch them play, that's good for the game. So I think it'll kind of help nationalize the sport.
Yeah, that should definitely be a good addition. And even when players get traded, and then if it was like a fan's favorite player, they could come back and play at home. I mean, you see those like special moments where it's like welcome back, like whoever's coming back after leaving their team, it'll kind of be able to like circle around now for most players to kind of come and play a 3-4 game series back at home. So I find that rule very cool. Are there any other rules or changes that you know about that I haven't mentioned?
Mentioned the bases, the pitch clock, the disengagement for the player. Part of the pitch clock rule is the hitter only gets one timeout and the pitcher only gets one disengagement per at bat, or two disengagements per at bat. So either two pickoffs or two step offs. So that could be we'll see how that goes. That could be a little bit funky to start, and hopefully there'll be some openness to adjusting that if it really needs to be adjusted. And then the no shift rule, so the banning of the shift in the terms of all four infielders have to have their feet on the dirt at the time of the pitch, and two have to be on left side of second base, two have to be on the right side of second base. So that's another big one that's going in this year.
How do you feel about that as a pitcher? Because I know some batters, if they kind of had slump like seasons because they'd always hit it to one side of the field, they're probably thinking maybe now I can bring my average up. How do you feel of it as a pitcher? Because the defense always shifts to try to be in your favor in case they hit it in play, and now it's kind of going back to what it used to be. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So as a baseball fan, I think it'll incentivize putting the ball in play a lot more than it used to be. You won't see as many, loud ground ball outs or loud line drives right to people, but as a pitcher, I've benefited a lot from shifting. A lot of times I'll be like, oh no, oh yeah, someone's right there. I'm in big spots. So definitely as a pitcher, I'm like, don't love it. But I think it will make the game better. In terms of putting ball in play more action, more how the game used to look like, which a lot of people were kind of in polls and stuff were wanting it to look like. So it'll be good. And I know a lot of the hitters are going to be like, especially a lot of lefty sluggers are going to like that. Instead of having to think about dropping down a bunt all the time, now they'll just be able to hit like somewhat normal. And there will be shading still allowed, but not that full shifting in the right field.
Are there any rules that you would think that they should add, or do you kind of like where they're going with the game? Because I didn't know if you had thoughts like, oh, if they did this, that would actually be pretty interesting, or if they took away this, it would be better. Do you have anything like that?
Not necessarily rules, but like I would love to see a league-wide effort to make the stadium experience as like modern and as fun as possible. So I remember going to an NBA game, a Bucks game a couple years ago, and just like the speakers, the DJ, there was like great halftime or timeout entertainment all the time. And you just left feeling like I just went to a party for 2 or 3. Like it was awesome, and I think we're kind of behind that trend as baseball. We were really, and we talked to when Rob Manfred came around to our team, we really encouraged him to like set a mandate or like some type of fund or something to get going for like the in-park, in-game experience, food, fun, music, all that stuff to be as modernized and as fun as possible to attract. You make young kids who like baseball love it that much more, and then make it attracts some fans to it that might not otherwise go. So that would be something I would really focus on. And Milwaukee's a perfect case. I think they're getting new speakers in next year, but sometimes the speaker system, it just felt weird or like outdated. And it was like, it kind of set a weird mood sometimes if the park wasn't sold out. If the park's sold out, it's like, it's roaring, you don't need any speakers, right? But if it was empty-ish, it just became, the ambiance of the stadium was a little weird, a little eerie. So getting that fixed will be great for the Brewers. And Denver, they don't need their speaker system's awesome. Their in gaming really good, but it can still probably get benefited from like consulting or whatever. But just in game experience is huge.
Yeah, they're trying to change things, but it seems more like on the broadcast side, like interviewing mainly pitchers who don't like have to go back into the game. They interview them. ESPN's been doing things like Brewers Phillies. They did more than pitchers. I mean, they would interview Harper between every at bat. So I guess
Right.
that helps with the engagement, but you definitely have a point in person making it a great experience because I mean, for some people have short attention span. I could sit through all 162 games like in front of my TV or in person and feel great, but some people aren't on that level. So yeah, trying to make a change by making them quicker, and then you have a good point trying to make it like entertaining, especially at breaks. I mean, if you have the in between inning break, I know that you change and there's new defense on the field, so you can't do much on the field, but you have a good point. That's probably solid 3 to 4 minutes between each inning where they could definitely add something. And you've been interviewed like a couple times mid-game. Do you enjoy that? Because I've always had thoughts. I'm like, do players like just want to kind of be part of the game, or do they kind of enjoy guys like talking in their ear as it's going on?
I don't mind it at all. I think it's good. I think I've been mic'd up, not for an interview during the game, but I've been mic'd up, and then like afterwards they show highlights or whatever. And I've done in game for like spring training games. I'm not sure if I've done an in game during a regular season game, but it happens all the time. Like they'll bring starters in or send them at the end of the dugout and have them interview, and guys will throw popcorn at them or something, feeds at them. But I think it's great. I think guys are more open to it than ever before, and I think it makes for a good broadcasting experience and setting baseball up for a good like advantage on in-game watching experience that kind of puts us ahead of the tide in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, you would always take interviews to the next step, do an impression, which a lot of people probably know. Jim Carrey, all those impressions. That was entertaining. I know it was like the spring games, like where you're playing against your own team, but that was always very entertaining to watch because you're like, like you can have fun while you're not playing,
Yeah.
And during those games playing against your own team, was there any batter on while you're on the Brewers that like you would always hate to face? Is there anyone that had your number specifically on the team?
That's a really good question. You're talking like in 2020, like the summer camp,
Yeah, yeah.
or like in BP and stuff, or like
Just kind of in anything. I mean, if you pitch against your own teammates, I didn't know if there was always certain teammate that seemed to have your number a little bit.
yeah, I want to say Mark Mathias was a guy who always put good swings on me. You know what I mean? We traded him to Texas this year, and he did great for the Rangers. But yeah, he was the guy I just like. He always seemed to find the barrel against me. I didn't face Yelich or Braun or Kane that much in inter squad or anything like that. But they Wong was one who always seemed to find barrels against me. Even when he was in St. Louis, like we just had good battles, and he often hit the ball hard, sometimes right at people, but he'd always be a good at bat. So, but Matthias was one of those who was just like really good at the ball and saw me pretty well.
Yeah, and I asked Kane if he had a pitcher kryptonite. Do you have a batter kryptonite in the league overall, or just not really because you face a bunch of different guys?
Oh, I definitely do. Nolan Arenado is my guy. He's I think his OPS against me is like 2250 right now, and that actually went down this year, or like it went barely down this year. But yeah, he just has seen me well. It doesn't matter if he gets jammed or he hits the ball hard. He's getting a hit. Like it's just crazy how well he does off me. Even in spring training too, he just like always finds a way to get hits. So it's a pretty good sample size, and it's a lot of damage. So he's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I bet he loved hitting in cores, which now he's obviously a Cardinal. So you still will have to face him. No
Yeah,
longer a Rocky while you're there. So,
right.
maybe you can bring that number down. I'll be thinking of that if you ever face him. I'll be thinking, I was like, big opportunity to bring the number down. I
Right.
mean, do you have an approach when you face him, or are you kind of just like he just always gets to like no matter what I throw?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to get after it. Like I know I need to hit my spot, but I'm trying to paint, up and in, down, or what, I'm trying to mix in a breaking ball down to see if he'll chase, like all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to kind of shy away from the at bat. I'll leave that to the managers to do that if they want to intentionally walk them or whatever. But if they if I'm facing them, I'm trying to get them out. So I'm trying to execute my pitch with conviction and, good location and movement. So that's how it is. But sometimes you just lose battles. That's how it is.
Yeah, and watching you pitch, we talked about how pitch clock doesn't affect you. What kind of was it just the thought of trying to speed up the game? Because watching you pitch, like as soon as you catch the ball, it's probably 8 to 10 seconds to the next pitch, where other guys it could be up to 30. Did that just kind of start because of you and you're like, I want to speed it up, or is it just kind of your flow and you don't really think of it that way?
It really started like junior, senior in college. We got a pitching coach who was really emphasizing pitching quick, don't strikes, attacking the zone. So that was when it started going. And then in minor leagues, I came in and was quicker maybe than some other guys. And I had position players coming up to me going, "Dude, this is awesome. We love playing behind you. Could you do even faster? Like, have you tried it?" I was like, "I'll try it." You know what I mean? So I started speeding up a little bit more, and then yeah, as it got going in the minor leagues and major leagues, it's just kind of become one of those. Sometimes it gets ahead of you. Like I need to make sure I'm controlling the tempo and it's not controlling me. But yeah, it's one of those things I can use it as like kind of a weapon or like a setting the tone of aggression. Like, hey, I'm coming after you. I'm not trying to waste time. And sometimes I can get the hitters on the defensive.
Yeah, I mean, I bet a lot of batters haven't faced the pace like that, so that could throw them off. They face you the first time. I mean, if you're at a game, you don't go up to go to the bathroom if you're pitching the next inning because they're gonna miss a whole half inning. I mean, it definitely speeds the game up, and it's actually fun to watch. I mean, it's like a lot of action. It's not like there's not a lot of sitting around. I mean, you
Right.
could probably get the ball, like take a step off the mound and pitch, and it's sometimes still quicker than guys doing their normal routine.
Yeah. I know what some guys throughout the league watching pitch. It's like, holy shnikes, I'm losing focus. For like, what do you? It's like 40 seconds in between pitches. It's crazy, but yeah, it's just one of those, and everyone will have to be quicker this year. Yeah, if we can make it fun to watch and still keep the quality of competition, I think it'll be a good change. But that keeping the quality of competition is huge.
Yeah, that's all basically what I got. What I was wondering from you. Is there anything I didn't ask that you'd like me to ask, or anything else you're wondering?
Um, Not too much, just environmental. I try to be an environmental advocate, and so if there's any Denver organizations out there, I'm trying to get in touch with as many as I can. Environmental organizations out in Denver. If you're watching, please hit me up on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I'd love to work with you. So, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah, got my wife and son are out there. Got a wife and two boys and a dog. So living the family dream. Off season dad life has been going great. So yeah, just all that. But no, this has been great. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.